Faith Agro Inputs is an agro-input company that does research, innovation, and market development for various horticultural products. Today, we are demonstrating to you different cabbage varieties. The first one in front of me is Cabbage Oxalis. Cabbage Oxalis is a fresh market kind of cabbage that actually matures in a period of 60 days. Oxalis is ideal for those farmers who are growing for the fresh market. You have either a direct supply, either you are supplying institutions like schools, universities, prisons, or where you need a big number of cabbage consumers. Then the second one is Cabbage Blue Dynasty. For the Cabbage Blue Dynasty has come in the picture because of the incidences of black rot. Black rot is the one that is popularly known as Kasanja. The Kasanja is a big headache to most of the cabbage growers. You realize that it has the potential putting the farmer in 100% loss, whereby the outer leaves start drying before the head formation. Eventually, it does not form the head, and even it results in poor qualities. Cabbage Blue Dynasty takes a period of 90 days. And the reason why 90 days is because it is resilient, it grows very slowly and slow but sure. But at the end of the day, it's a kind of cabbage that can withstand long distance transportation. It's a kind of cabbage that when you can harvest, transport it to the coastline of Mombasa, and when you reach there after like 2 weeks, you may think that it was harvested in the morning. It's the kind of cabbage that you can harvest and send it to South Sudan and reach that market in time, and you might think that it was harvested the day after. So it is a very good cabbage, more especially for those farmers who have that market niche for export market. It is also characterized by uniform head formation. Now with uniform head formation, you find that you are able to harvest at the same time. You know, there has been cases, and this is where farmers make losses. Assuming you planted 12,000 heads in your garden, and they are maturing in bits, you realize that you are unable to fully utilize your investment, as in you are going to be harvested. As you leave, you may find other suitors who come before you, after you, and then also harvest, knowing that you've already exhausted what you wanted. These ones you've left, yet you left there, they had not formed their heads. So with the Blue Dynasty F1, you will be guaranteed of 1 day harvesting, just the way you transplant in a day. Then the last one is Cabbage Victoria F1. Cabbage Victoria F1 is a game changer. In the cabbage family, to me, I call it a bulldozer. Victoria F1 is a kind of cabbage that is able to establish and grow and ensure that our growers are able to benefit from each and every endeavors they do. How do we establish this cabbage to ensure that we get what we are seeing here? Number one, of course, we begin with the right seed. Remember, you need to categorize your market needs. Your market niche, you need to categorize your segment properly. As I said earlier, if you are targeting the fresh market, let's say you are supplying churches, schools, universities, prisons, institutions, hospitals, the ideal variety is Oxalis F1. But if you're looking for long distance market, you need to look at the Victoria F1 or Blue Dynasty. Now, number one, we look at the right variety. Number two is nursery bed. All cabbages, just like any other varieties, are propagated in the nursery bed. The advantage with the cabbage is in the nursery bed, it only takes 21 days. Then you are ready for transplanting. During growing period, just like any other vegetable or horticulture, we implore the use of both manure and fertilizers. Somebody would ask, why are we talking so much about fertilizers different from manure? With manure, we mean the cow dung, compost manure, poultry litter. All those will help us to do what? To ensure that our crops establishes well, have sufficient moisture around the root zone to ensure that it grows very well. Now, for fertilizers are the kickstarters. they ensure that the plant produces enough roots to extract nutrients from what? From these manures that we've placed. So it is a double-edged sword. You need manure to soften or to prepare, to lay the ground flat for the plant to utilize the nutrients in them. Then we also talk about pesticides. Pesticides, we look at the insect pests, and we also look at the pathogen-based pests. Insect pests, basically what disturbs the cabbage are the diamond back moth, the leaf hoppers, the caterpillars in the but of course it's the diamond back moth that lays eggs that hatch into the what? The caterpillars, commonly known as kasanyi, because they perforate our leaves and becomes like what? Net-like shape. And those ones is a good turn off to most of our customers who enjoy the cabbage. Then number 3, we also look at the foliar fertilizers. Foliar fertilizers is also a very good fertilizer for the fast growth and establishment of our cabbage. So for foliar fertilizers, as I said earlier, we begin with the Yaramira Power. When you are transplanting, we apply Vano. Then Vano we apply for the first week. The second week we apply Bimo. Bimo has a special nutrient called boron that ensures enough and sufficient biomass to ensure that our cabbage is able to establish enough fiber roots. Remember, once the cabbage establishes a good set of fiber roots, it's able to increase its mass, become very vegetative, and eventually uniform large sizable heads. That is what is attractive on the market. Then we also look at the fungicides. So we were still talking about the foliar, the base of fertilizers, where we've done the Yaramira Power for transplanting. Then first top dressing, we either use sulfan or amidas. Now sulfan has a very good, it's a kind of calcium ammonium nitrate based fertilizer, but they have introduced sulfur for it to be able to inject the calcium. Remember, calcium is concerned with the cell wall integrity that guarantees you the good the size of the head, the shelf life. So and that's why we prefer sulfan. If you cannot get sulfan, look for Yaravera amidas. Then finally, we look at the diseases that normally disorganize our farmers. Most of the cabbage diseases are either seed-borne, of which during our research as Faith Agro in partnership with the Seminis, we base so much on coming up with the disease-free cultivars. By disease-free cultivars or varieties, we mean that we are also factoring in the experience of the farmer. How well do you want a farmer to enjoy the farming experience? So basically all the varieties that I have shown to you, the Cabbage Auxiliars, the Cabbage Blue Dynasty, the Cabbage Victoria F1, have been selected and bred without those impurities. So therefore it's a very good venture for those farmers who want to venture into cabbages, or those farmers who have made a number of losses in cabbage farming. Think no further, look for Faith Agro inputs. We have the best varieties on the market so far that can easily establish by themselves without necessarily having to apply a lot of toxic chemicals that may hinder the lives of the consumers. Then number 3, we also look at the insect pests, because it is the insect pests that probably pierces, perforations, the hole, something like snail. And remember, like the snails, mollusks, those arachnid families are very good at eating the leaves of our cabbages. And you know, when they eat the leaves, and remember the leaves are is the engine that manufactures food for the plant. The head you are seeing here is just a mere storage. So if you serve this leaf to the insects, you may not have the sizable head. So with the snails, the remedy is simple. Once we keep on spraying with the Nodox, copper Nodox, on weekly basis from week 1 to week 10. You realize we have shot our 3 birds in one stone, whereby we've the cabbage from succumbing to bacterial infections like black rot or fungal infections like early and late blight. And at the same time, copper nodox has a special nutrient that the cabbage requires. Then thirdly, it builds that cabbage to be resilient and resistant to infections. So cabbage is a very easy thing to establish and grow to ensure that you also venture into market economy. Remember, as Faith Agro Inputs, wherever we are training and teaching or interacting with our farmers, we always talk of big five. By big five, we employ, number one is the tomato, number two is the onion, number three is watermelon, number four is green pepper, number five is cabbage. Now we are in cabbage for starters. You have, let's say, a capital of let's say 500,000. How do you transform this 500? How do you double it into 5 million? That is the power of zero. Whereby, assuming you are going to, in an acre, you are going to establish 11,000 heads of cabbage. Now, 11,000 heads of cabbage, you are going to cost each cabbage at 500 shillings. At minimum, bare minimum, because these cabbages on average they weigh between 2, 3, 4, 5 kilograms, and there is no a 5 kilogram cabbage that will go for 500 shillings. So as a producer, look at the bare minimum of 500 shillings per head. So 500 shillings per head, and you have 11,000 heads, that is 5.5. Now for those ones who got that 1 million, Nabanjas 1 million, you are able to utilize the 500,000, and then within a span of 4 months, you have your 5 million. It is an opportunity for you to be able to pay back your 1 million and even qualify to borrow for a higher figure. So we call upon our farmers, those one, more especially the startups who don't know what to do. You can begin with the cabbage, get the capital, invest in either watermelon or tomatoes, so long as you have the space and you have the capability. For us as Faith Agro Inputs is to prepare you, is groom you on how you are going to bounce or step into the money economy. With money economy, there is no joke. You make a slight mistake and you are done. But you move, you take your calculative steps, you are there to flourish. So we call upon our dear farmers. These things are doable. Gone are the days where we could sit and cry about on how we are failures. With the farming, we cannot fail. Remember today as we speak, the population is growing, and this population must be fed. So we welcome you to buy the idea and be part of the producers of food for this growing population. I've heard people talking of lack of market. I've heard people talking of market dynamics. I call do research. If you are unable to do research, as Faith Agro Inputs, we have a full team of professional agronomists. These professional agronomists will be able to guide you through all the processes that you require to grow and establish these crops. And then too, they will be able to give you tips on how to maneuver, how to play around with the market dynamics. They'll be able to give you the tips on how you can express yourselves when you go to the market. They'll be able to give you the tips on how to escape the greed of these brokers who always take advantage of of the farmers. So therefore, as Faith Agro Inputs, we offer a full buffet of seeds, inputs, fertilizers, and then above all, marketing tips that are going to help you prosper financially.